Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to the Troop Talk podcast. I'm back here with my brother Jay.
Hey everyone.
In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about Doja Cat's Illuminati birthday party. And we're also going to be talking about Apple TV show Sevrance. Let's get right into it. The first thing we need to talk about is Doja Cat. About 2 weeks ago, I did a podcast episode on Doja Cat where I spoke about her recent strange behavior that has been raising questions for many. First, we saw Doja Cat, out of nowhere, decide to shave off her eyebrows and hair during one of her live streams. I explained that the custom of shaving off one's eyebrows traces all the way back to the Egyptian times, as the Egyptians would shave their eyebrows off whenever their pet cats would pass away. To me, it made perfect sense as Doja Cat often showed pagan Egyptian imagery in her videos. In the podcast episode, we also spoke about Doja Cat's recent strange appearance since she shaved her eyebrows off. We spoke about her strange reaction during an interview at an event she was attending. Doja clearly appeared out of it, and then strangely, we saw Doja's handlers grab Doja in the middle of her talking and pull her away. Like I said in the podcast episode, it appeared to me that Doja might have been MK Ultra'd. By taking just one good look at her, you can see something is not right. Doja appears like a completely different person than when she first entered the music industry. You can see it on her face. There's a lost look in her eye. The reason we're talking about Doja today is because her birthday just passed and Doja hosted a party. This party wasn't just any party either. It was an Eyes Wide Shut themed party. Openly, Doja hosted a ritual party where she and her guests were seen wearing lingerie and ball masks. The mask Doja Cat was wearing was the same mask that the female character who gets sacrificed wore in the movie's Eyes Wide Shut. All the celebrities attended the party wearing masks to cover their faces while they enjoy their nights of rituals and sin. We know exactly what happens at these parties. All these celebrities go into rooms and perform occultic rituals and engage in sins that they wouldn't want the world to know about. Open as day, they're showing the world exactly what we have been talking about on this channel for months. On top of this, Doja's birthday cake had some very interesting symbols on it. As you can see, Doja's birthday cake had the Masonic all-seeing eye and the Masonic square and compass on it. Openly, Doja is showing her Masonic alliance, putting Masonic symbols all over her birthday cake. While researching the situation, I discovered a pattern of signs that led me to believe something very sinister might happen to Doja in the near future. Like we spoke about at the beginning of this, Doja Cat shaved her eyebrows off about 2 months ago on her live stream. Like I explained, the Egyptians would shave their eyebrows off when their cats would pass away. Knowing that her name is Doja Cat, and then Doja often showing Egyptian imagery in her music videos, it's clear that Doja is representing herself as the cat goddess Bastet. Then if we look at Doja's recent appearance, you would notice clear as day signs that Doja doesn't seem to be in good health. Now combine this with the imagery in the Eyes Wide Shut themed party, it paints a clear picture that Doja sadly might be the industry's next offering. In Doja's recent party, she came dressed like this character from the movie Eyes Wide Shut. Doja is wearing the exact outfit to the T. The character that Doja Cat is dressed like is the woman that ends up sacrificed in the movie. I looked into the mask that Doja had on, and it's called a Volto mask. And strangely enough, Volto in Latin translates to ghost. To make things even more strange, Doja just so happened to turn 27 and decided to celebrate it with an Eyes Wide Shut themed party. We already know about the infamous 27 Club, and we know how occultists love doing ritual offerings during the fall. I hope I'm wrong about this, but it appears to me that Doja might just sadly be the next ritual offering and joining the infamous 27 Club. The signs just speak for themselves, and I believe Doja knows this as well, and it's the reason she shaved off her eyebrows. They have already been making her look crazy, setting it up for when it does happen, they can just say she was dealing with substance issues. Once again, I want to make it clear that I hope I am wrong. I do not want anything to happen to Doja, but I honestly feel that something terrible might. We already know how the industry is. Ritual offerings are done routinely. The industry is ran by occultists, and we see clear signs of this often. These artists are willing to do anything to have the world, sadly, even give up their souls and take oaths. Doja showed us herself with this party that she is a Masonic puppet. She literally put the Masonic square and compass on the cake and the Masonic all-seeing eye. So many people see this and still choose to remain blind and idolize these celebrities. There is no way a person can deny this without willingly being blind. She literally has the Masonic symbol on the birthday cake. All the guests that attended Doja's party are also Masonic puppets. We saw some of the biggest names in Hollywood attending a ritual party en masse to hide their identity. I would like to mention that Justin Bieber was one of the celebrities who attended this party. Justin Bieber, who claims to be a Christian, attended a Masonic ritual party. I hope this wakes people up and shows them who these celebrities are truly serving. This whole entire situation should open people's eyes. They're literally publicizing their rituals now. How do you feel about this, Jay?
It's true. I mean, they do these things right in front of your face. You're the most hidden when you have your eyes wide shut. It's right in front of your face, but you don't see it, or you choose not to see it. And that's how they do the things. You think of birthdays, and people will pay words like happy birthday, or they'll say like the person's name, their age, but not all the symbolism. It's definitely trying to say something without saying it.
And this is exactly what we have been saying on this channel for a while. What I want people to understand is that the occult, they love showing symbols, they love showing signs, they love putting out there what they're going to do, and they do this often. We have seen it across the entire channel. I don't want anything to happen to Doja, but it just seems very odd if you add everything together. A few months ago, she was saying that she didn't even want to be in the music industry no more. Now we're seeing her shaving her eyebrows off. We're seeing her acting very strange, acting like a completely different person, and even looking like a completely different person. The signs of this speak for themselves. Even when we talk about the 27 Club, a lot of people, they know about the 27 Club. They know how so many artists seem to pass away at the age of 27. Strangely, usually when those artists are about to pass away, for the last year or so of their lives, they start acting the same way Doja Cat is acting. Haven't you realized that? Like, for example, with Kurt Cobain, he started acting strange alongside with many of the other artists that this seems to happen to as well. What we're seeing with Doja Cat, it's pretty obvious that something's going on with her. When we spoke about in the last podcast, you can clearly see the handlers pulling her away. They're taking her away, and that clearly shows that she's being controlled. When you hear about the 27 Club, Jay, do you think that there's any truth to the 27 Club?
I mean, there's just way too much of a coincidence. These things that add up, the behaviors right before their untimely demise, it seems too much coincidence to not be planned, you know?
One of the first people to join the 27 Club was actually Robert Johnson. He's an old blues player, and he passed away at 27. His story is that he went to the crossroads and sold his soul. You ever heard of that?
Not really, no.
Basically, Robert Johnson, the whole story was that he sold his soul to be able to get the skill to play the guitar. Strangely enough, he becomes great at the guitar. He manages to become semi-famous, and then he ends up passing away. A lot of people think it was just the devil coming to collect the soul. Now, in Doja's situation, I feel like this is a ritual that she was chosen for. And I believe this happens within the industry often. When all these artists pass away the same way, they were taking substances and they were found the next day. You understand? It's the same scenario every single time. It doesn't make much sense how every single artist meets that same fate. And then when we think about this party, we see the biggest celebrities attending this party. Celebrities that you wouldn't even think hang out with each other. When I did the video on the secret Hollywood parties, we saw countless celebrities. Not one, not two, not three. We saw about 5 celebrities admit that yes, they have these crazy eyes wide shut parties in the industry all the time. They admitted out their own mouths that each room, everybody's in there doing stuff that they wouldn't want people to know outside, and everybody's involved. The biggest celebrities, they said that the biggest celebrities and actors that you wouldn't even think of are in the room doing this with each other. That's what these parties are about. That's why you see Doja Cat coming in dressed like this, because they're ready to do rituals and they're ready to indulge in that type of activity. This is what we're seeing from this type of party. The audacity of them just publicizing it, it just lets you know how dumbed down our world is becoming, where they can see something like this and it doesn't open anybody's eyes. No one says, wow, you know, what the heck is this? They didn't even try to hide. They put the Freemason symbol on the cake and then took a picture of it and posted it so people can actually see it.
And like what you said, who was attending these parties? Look at the audience, you know, look at the guest list. They're all seeing the symbolism and no one is saying anything. They're just going along with it like it's the norm, you know? So that does reinforce the fact that it does seem very ritualistic. You brought up the mask and all the other symbolism and how it might seem like it's getting ready for a sacrifice. Again, it could be one of those situations like the 27 Club where it's just too much of a coincidence to ignore.
And that's why I wanted to talk about it. I pray nothing ever happens to anybody. But it's just that when you're seeing all these signs, and my job is to put the truth out there, I want people to be aware of this. I want people who are inspiring to be in this industry to understand that this might be the price that they have to pay. This might be what they have to do if they want to be in a level like Doja Cat. Because we see Doja Cat isn't Doja Cat anymore. That person that was entered into the industry, that person is gone. They created a new version, a new Doja Cat. That's who she is today. And we can see that it's not a healthy thing being in the industry. We see it from her. The people that survive in the industry usually thrive off evil. They evolve with the evil. but some of them just get consumed by it, and we see them, and this is what I believe is happening to Doja. Doja wanted to leave the industry. We know that these record labels, when they find a successful artist that actually works and makes them money, you know how they do not want to give that artist up, especially when they become as influential as Doja is. So they're seeing Doja as their prize. But if Doja doesn't want to play ball no more and she wants to leave the industry and unsign with them, they're not going to allow that. I believe that she was chosen for this. This is the offering made for this season of harvest. It's hard to deny these symbols. It's hard to deny the reality when it's knocking at your door. You can choose to be blind, but you're only doing a disservice to yourself. Why even have this type of theme party? Who throws parties like this? Like, I don't know anybody who'd be like, yeah, we're going to have a ritual Illuminati party.
Yeah, like someone will say, oh, I'll have a piñata at my party. Or they might say, like, you know, I want to have this theme party under the sea or whatever. But the kind of party that has like these kind of masks and the clothing and having to be so tied to the movie Eyes Wide Shut. And then the symbols on the cake, that's like the cherry on top, to be honest. You can't get any more true to the actual ritual that's going on. It's too much of a coincidence for my comfort, to be honest. And like you said, I pray nothing bad happens to anyone. But if history has anything to say for it, it looks like there's a dark path, you know?
It's sad. I hope nothing happens. I hope that I'm wrong, but we all have to be aware of what's going on. You understand? We have to see the truth, and we're seeing it right in front of our eyes. Sadly, the industry has shown us that this is normal activity. This is what they do. This is what they indulge in. So if you're an upcoming artist, think about this more than anything before you throw yourself into this type of industry, because the price might not be worth paying. Well, now let's move on. Let's talk about the next topic. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the show Severance. I actually watched this show because of my brother Jay. He recommended that I watch it, so I took some time and I watched the first few episodes of it. Honestly, this show is very interesting and it's very concerning to me. We know how the industry loves to put the truth in plain sight. We know how they love to show us their future plans in their media, like we've seen it time and time again, over and over again. I believe this is what this show Severance might be, and it's highly concerning. The show is about a world where employees are able to get this operation to work for a certain company that allows them to separate themselves and create two versions of themselves. They're allowed to become a work version of themselves that they don't even know what that work version does, and then a normal version of themselves on the outside world that has no idea what happens to the version of himself in the workforce. So essentially you become two people. And this operation that they do is they implant a chip in your head. And in the show, once you get that chip implanted, you're basically property of the building while you're clocked in. Literally, not just like your hours. Like a normal employee, once you clock in for the next 8 hours, you're committed to work to this company for those hours that you are scheduled for. But in this show, it's a completely different thing. In this show, they literally own you entirely, like your brain as well. They control your mind and they control what you can possibly do. That version of yourself is being put in this place, in this office hell, you can call it, where every single day of their lives, they're repeating the same exact thing. They don't know of an outside life. They don't know what sleep is. They don't know what anything is besides working, because once you get this operation, like I said, there's two versions of you. One version that allows you to exist outside that doesn't know what happens to you in work, and then a version of you that exists within work and doesn't know what happens to you outside of work. And imagine a world where this exists. Imagine how much more control,
if someone came up to you and gave you the choice to have a job that pays you without having to go to work, where literally you walk into the building and next thing you know, you're walking out without having any recollection of work. And then think about how that can be applied, you know? Just think of further applications. It seems innocent to use it for work, so you don't have to physically be at work, because no one likes to be at work when they're doing it. But then think how it could be applied in a more sinister way, you know? If you can do things without remember doing things. A lot of times we don't do things, we're conscious of it and we know it's bad, so we don't do it. But imagine if you could be unconscious during the act. It's pretty sinister if you ask me.
Our society, we are already in a similar situation. When we go to work, most people go to work and they have to work 8 hours of a job that they don't like. And they already have this control over us for those 8 hours. For those 8 hours of our life, even though we see everything happening, they have control over us. We have to do what they instruct us to do. But in a future world, not only would they own your time, now they're going to own you as an individual while you're in the building. You wouldn't even have any idea of what's really going on. You wouldn't know what you're working on. You wouldn't know what that version of you is really doing or is being put through. to separate two versions of yourself, one version that exists just to be solely at this workforce, that version of you is going through a literal hell if you think about it. It's like the worst thing you can do to anybody. It's like putting somebody in a cage and their whole existence is in that cage.
It's like see no evil, you know? If you don't see what you're doing, it's not like you're doing it. And then like just imagine like all the unpleasant things in the world that you have to go through. Imagine not having to go through it. But then is it fair to that other person that got created with this implant, you know?
Now, like you asked, how do I feel about something like that? I feel like it's something that shouldn't happen. Honestly, that version of you still exists and it's being put through all this, and then you have to live in the body of the person that's being put through all this. You understand? All that emotional distress that that person is going through in that facility when he's working, you literally wouldn't know if anything like literally is done to you. If something is done to you while you're in there, you will have no recollection. You wouldn't even remember. You understand? You'll just be outside and not have any idea of what the heck happened to you.
No, and then who's to say that that company doesn't keep you turned on, you know, keep you in work mode? You're no longer yourself. You're just this robot that's completed corporate tasks. And then they don't even have to pay you because the other you doesn't exist anymore. It's almost like having a clone that takes over you and becomes you, but the you that a corporation wants, the you that the sponsor who paid for the operation wants.
Honestly, it's the evolution of a corporate world where the corporations have full control of the employees. They've managed to take all control, not just those few hours. They're in their minds. I'm pretty sure like the chip is always reading their mind. So they know what they're doing outside. They know what their activities are, and it reports it all back to them.
Yeah, I mean, you're constantly under surveillance, you know? Who's to say they don't have something in this implant that tells the corporation what you're doing? Who's to say that this implant doesn't tell that corporation what you're doing when you're not clocked in? It's like giving your life up. And for what? Just to be blind to work, to get paid without actually having to do the work or remember doing the work? It's all about making that deal. Is it really worth it? And what price do you set on your soul?
That's exactly what I was going to say next. It's a perfect example of selling your soul without having it to sell it directly to the devil. When I talk about people selling their souls, there's multiple ways you can sell your soul. You understand? You can be an occultist and do rituals, and you can be a person who chooses the street world, you know, who is willing to do evil for money. That's the same exact thing as selling your soul. If you choose to put a version of yourself, and technically yourself is still you, for this opportunity of making money basically easy because you don't even realize what's going on, you're selling your soul. You're selling yourself to a corporation who's going to take advantage of you and do whatever they want. This is why I think this show is so interesting, because I honestly believe in the future, something like this can be a possibility. Don't you think so?
1000% for sure. I mean, I don't see why it can't happen, but the ethics, is it right? And who would participate? Because like in the show, you see the prime candidates are typically people who have something going on outside that makes them want to disconnect from the world, you know? I won't go too much into it in case someone wants to watch. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a certain kind of people that do this thing, you know? That actually get severed, as they call it. It's kind of like what we talked about before, who would actually do it, you know? In the real world, it's disguised as something to help people, but usually has a more sinister intention behind it.
What makes this even more crazier to me is that I believe this is the evolution of the MK Ultra project. That's what I believe. I believe that this is what they're showing us. In the MK Ultra project, they wanted to be able to make something that does this, you know, resets the brain and gives them control over it. In this show, they're showing us this exact thing. It's actually very intriguing when you think about it. These people were trying to do this and they probably succeeded. And now this show is showing us that this possibly, you know, can be implemented in the future. It could be something that's happening right now. When these celebrities get MK Ultra, what's to say this isn't the procedure that they take? Imagine how much of these celebrities have something like this done to them.
Yeah, I mean, it just boils down to what are you worth, honestly. I mean, if you look at this show, I know it's like science fiction, but one could say it's like a window into the future. Because look at how like corporations treat employees these days, you know? It's you clock in, clock out, you do your task, you do this task, you do that task, you get paid for it, and then you do it again the next day and the next day and the next day. It's kind of like we're doing it now, and this might be a way of like they're preparing us to offer that solution, you know? That sinister solution that will be hidden as a solution to a problem that they created.
Exactly. That's called order out of chaos. Something that they love to do and we often talk about. This whole idea to me just seems like something that our world is heading towards as well. It's like our world is so automatic and digital now, and everybody wants everything done like instantly. Nobody wants to grind. Nobody wants to put in the time no more. I think that that's part of the new world. I think that this is what our new world brings. Well, that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Take care, everyone.
I just wanted to give a special shout out to the Truth Movement members. I truly appreciate every single one of you. If you'd like to further support the channel, join the Truth Movement, or you can join me on Patreon, where I drop exclusive videos monthly. The link would be in the description. Another way you can further support the channel is by checking out the Truth Fit store and seeing if you find anything you like. Every purchase you make helps with the funding of Truth Records. The link to the Truth Fit store is also in the description. Also, please leave a comment on your thoughts on this video and on any future topics you would like to see me cover on my channel. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of future videos. If you like this video, please leave a like, as it helps other people find these videos. You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram and follow me there. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.